الله
حقا لا إله إلا الله محمد عبده ورسوله الله رب هذه التامة والصلاة إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستغفره ونستعينه ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي المقصرة أولا بتقوى الله فاتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون ثم أما بعد. All praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious and the most merciful, and the best of His peace and blessings shall be bestowed upon His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and upon those that follow his footsteps. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, no one can deny that we are living through a very tough test. A test of our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We look at our brothers and sisters in Gaza, Palestine. We look at what's happening in Lebanon, other parts of the Muslim Ummah, Sudan. We see the bloodshed. We see the injustice. We see superpowers that claim to be concerned with human rights, that presents itself as protectors of human rights, being complacent and silent about the atrocities, the killing of civilians. We see our brothers and sisters that are tested with their blood, with their lives, their children. Very difficult images. It's very difficult to watch. Imagine if you're actually experiencing the atrocities. However, for us Muslims, we always have a different perspective. And that's what makes you different. Because the way we view, the lens that we use to view all the events around us are different. They have to be different. We all know that this is a test that could, la samah Allah, drive some people out of their deen because they have a difficult time understanding or accepting what's happening. It's a test that will trigger internal disagreements, problems, and fights. So what do we do in such condition? As we all know and expect, for us as Muslims, we have to turn to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because in the midst of all the ever-changing, difficult events the only constant is the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're tested with your convictions, with your beliefs, with your understandings. Go back to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in a few minutes today, inshallah, we will visit some of the ayat and the hadith guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to help us learn how to deal with such difficult times. Part 1 of the khutbah, that is titled Mata Nasrullah. When would the victory come? When would justice prevail? We all look for justice. Nobody on earth will tell you otherwise, whether they mean it or not. At least by words, we all want justice. When would justice prevail? First thing we need to know is al-fitna, the test itself. We need to understand the test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah said, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةِ. Do you think you will enter Jannah, you will be granted Jannah, you will be rewarded Jannah, Ya mu'min, Ya Muslim? If that's your goal, that sets your mind immediately. If your goal is Jannah, do you think that you will be rewarded Jannah وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ? Without you understanding the process to Jannah. And how do I understand the process? I study people, I study history, I study what happened before. So this is an invitation for you to study your Quran and to study history and to see how events change and how Nasrullah will come للمؤمنين. وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Those that are in the past, what happened to them? مَسَّتْهُمُ الضَّرَّاءُ وَالْبَأْسَاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا. They were touched with darra and ba'sa. They were touched with difficulties, with pain. They were touched with destruction. وَزُلْزِلُوا. And zilzal means earthquake. And you can imagine, and we just saw some huge earthquakes happening in the last couple of years, and we saw the effect of earthquake. And it's subhanallah, as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was preparing us for this. We went through a massive natural disaster in the same region, floods, earthquakes, that took the lives of tens of thousands. As if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing us. The loss of lives, yes, it's painful. But we know these people are going to a better place. For sure. No doubt. وَزُلْزِلُوا. They were shaken. It's an earthquake. So there will be destruction. There will be loss of life. To a point where حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله. It will drive the companions and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to a point awaiting Nasrullah. متى Nasrullah. When is the victory coming? The answer is immediately, without any delay or hesitation. ألا إن نصر الله قريب. Indeed, the victory is very close. Very close. What does it take at this point? We're going to talk about it in the second part of the khutbah, but it's iman. Being steadfast and absolutely sure with no hint of hesitation. ألا إن نصر الله قريب. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that the price of Jannah is high. Some of you will pay a bigger price, but with bigger price comes bigger rewards. For us observing from a distance in the comfort of our homes, I know a lot of us are suffering mentally, psychologically. Our hearts are aching. At least, as a mu'min, you feel for your brothers and sisters. Wallahi, if you're sitting and you feel nothing, then you need to question yourself. But our test, although it's much simpler than those in the eye of the storm, it could have a serious impact on our deen because it's a fitna, because we're being tested. The entire event is a test for your iman. You pass the test, you get the best rewards. If you're tested harder, your reward is higher. Simple and easy. However, you need to watch for things for you to be able to handle this test. And first thing you need to watch for is what our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us about in the following hadith, where he said, يخرج في آخر الزمان رجال يختيلون الدنيا بالدين. At the end of times, the times of the massive test that we're seeing, there will be men that will trade their deen for dunya. يبيعون دينهم بعرض من الحياة الدنيا. يختيلون means they will utilize their deen for worldly benefits. يلبسون للناس جلود الضأن من اللين. They will put on the skin of a sheep to appear peaceful, kind. ألسنتهم أحلى من السكر. Their tongues are sweeter than sugar. We're talking about Muslims amongst us here that want to appear kind, peaceful, sweet. وَقُلُوبُهُمْ قُلُوبُ الذِّئَابِ. But they have the hearts of wolves. They're actually predators. They actually are there to get you and hurt you. What are they hurting? They will hurt your deen. If they don't physically hurt you, they're shaking your iman by spreading rumors and lies, by putting every single thing down, by saying, questioning things and casting doubts in your hearts, by saying this is wrong and this is this and we shouldn't have done this and we shouldn't have done that, to throw you in an endless cycle of doubt, to put you down and make you feel down to a point where you don't know what to do. They will eat away your deen. يقول الله عز وجل أبي يغترون أم علي يجترئون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comments on these people saying, do they think that I'm allowing them to do this, that they have the ability to continue? Do they think that they can cross the borders and have the courage to break the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and hurt al-mu'mineen with their iman? Do they think they can do this without paying for it? This is a warning to those people. Try not to be from them, because they will get severely punished. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَبِي حَلَفْتُ لَأَبْعَثَنَّ عَلَى أُولَٰئِكَ مِنْهُمْ فِتْنَةً تَدَعُ الْحَلِيمَ مِنْهُمْ حَيْرًا. Those that are trying to cast doubt and confusion and hesitation amongst us, instead of saying a good word, saying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will deliver us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect us, they cast doubt, despair. They give you more pain by saying negative things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of them. So advice number one, stay away from those people. This is not the time. If you are in a gathering where someone starts painting everything black, just leave. Don't waste your breath discussing anything with them. Advice number two. Rasulullah ﷺ also told us, بادروا بالأعمال فتنا كقطع الليل المظلم. Focus بالأعمال. Focus on your good deeds before the fitan comes near you, but we're living it. So keep focusing on your good deed. Work, 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 and stay silent. Especially when you know that talking will not get us anywhere, will make it even worse. Focus on your good deeds. Before the fitan, كَقَطِعَ اللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلِمِ, saying that those fitan, the test that will come, is so pitch black, as if you are in the midst of the desert and it's pitch black, you don't see anything. That means you don't know where you're going, you don't know when it's going to end, you don't know what's happening. And this is how we feel right now. يصبح الرجل مؤمنا ويمسي كافرا ويمسي مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا. A mu'min could sleep as a mu'min and wake up as a kafir. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. This is how much doubt and uncertainties we have on our minds. Beware. Focus on your deeds and don't engage in any discussions. يَبِيعُ أَحَدُهُمْ دِينَهُ بِعَرَضٍ مِّنَ الدُّنْيَا. And some of them will find a business opportunity in this by selling their deen for a little bit of money. They will lose the direction and will be utilized against the Muslimin. And we know and we see this happening every day. So here Rasulullah is telling us, focus on the good deeds, focus on the work. You can't just sit idle and watch. You can't take it, it's too difficult on you. Don't engage in talking, because some people will throw you into darkness and a black hole. Work! Work on your good deed. Do whatever you can. It will get you busy, it will get you moving, it will get you energized, it will get you connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to work. A'mal. And the third advice, as Muhammad ﷺ said, ستكون فتنة صماء عمياء بكماء. The test that that will happen, which we believe this is what we're going through right now, this test will be صماء عمياء بكماء. It doesn't see, it doesn't hear, it doesn't talk. What does that mean? Imagine a train going maximum speed, approaching the station, and all of a sudden the operator faints. What's going to happen to that train? It's not going to slow down. It doesn't see, it doesn't hear, it doesn't speak. It's going to zip through the station. And if there were people close to the path or the rail, it will crash everybody in front of it. This is how you visualize the fitna that we live in. It's a high-speed train with no operator. It's just going to crash everything in front of it. Don't be smart and participate in the fitna. You're not going to handle it. So what do? من أشرف عليها استشرفت له. If you think you can participate and be philosophical and come and give your opinion and try to say this or that and try to analyze, you'll get sucked into it. Subhanallah, how many people got sucked into this fitna trying to give an opinion? They lost their reputation, they got attacked. We see our community members attacking one another because of what's happening. Accusing each other of being of treason, or even driving them out of the fold of Islam. It's a very tough fitna. Do not engage. This is what Muhammad said. Hold your tongue. Do not engage. وَإِشْرَافُ اللِّسَانِ فِيهَا كَوُقُوعِ السَّيْفِ. And if you participate, your tongue is like a sword. Whatever you say, it's gonna hurt someone. Hold your tongue. Do not participate in the fitna. Do not participate in the doubts, in the hesitation, and focus on work as Muhammad ﷺ said, إياكم والفتن فإن اللسان فيها مثل وقع السيف. At the time of test, hold your tongue, because it's going to be a sword that's going to hurt you and hurt others. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فيا فوز المستغفر. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. So in the first part, we learned how to deal with al-fitna, how to handle ourselves and our surroundings. طيب, what do we do next? The next part is al-iman. How do we? We need to increase our iman. And just being a Muslim is not enough. And there's a difference between being a Muslim and being a mu'min. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Muhammad, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم وإن تطيعوا الله ورسوله لا يلدكم من أعمالكم شيئا إن الله غفور رحيم إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ولم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون. Al-A'rab, at the time of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Bedouins of Al-Jazira, the peninsula, once they accepted Islam, as soon as they accept Islam, they claim that I'm a mu'min, so I deserve what a mu'min deserves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is setting the rule saying, no, don't say I'm a mu'min, because you think you're a mu'min. You're a Muslim, but Iman did not penetrate your heart yet. So here it is. Iman has to penetrate your heart, and you have to be very solid. How? Who are those mu'mins? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defined them in the following ayah. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. You believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wa rasulih. And what's the real indicator of your Iman? ثم لم يرتابوا. الريبة هي الشك. لم يرتابوا, they will never doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order. They will never have the slightest thought that Allah have deserted us. It's not in our belief. They will never have the slightest doubt that all the blood went in vain. They will never have the slightest doubt that this is going to crush our ummah. You don't have negative thoughts. This is not Iman. Iman is steadfast, solid. It doesn't matter what I see. It does look ugly and painful. But al-mu'min la yartab. You never think that, oh Allah, it's done. I have people saying, we're going to be wiped off. That's not how a mu'min thinks. You need to rethink your Iman. You're not a mu'min if you say this. You need to have an absolute certitude and yaqeen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a wa'd. There's a wa'd. There's a promise. And what is this promise? And Allah reminds us in Ghazwat al-Ahzab, the condition of the Muslimin. It's okay to be or to feel that you're getting weak, but don't act upon it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in Surah Al-Ahzab, إِذْ جَاءُكُم مِّن فَوْقِكُمْ وَمِنْ أَسْفَلِ مِنْكُمْ وَإِذْ زَاغَتِ الْأَبْصَارُ وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرَ وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ. You will be tested to a point where you will lose your mind. But who ظَنَّ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ? Who are the ones that thought ill of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Al-munafiqun. Al-munafiqun said, Ghazwat al-Ahzab, Ghazwat al-Khandaq, 10,000 fighters, huge army came to wipe off Islam and Muslimin in al-Medina. Al-munafiqun said, that's it, it's done, the Muslims are gone. If you think like this, you need to be careful. You need to be solid and know there's a wa'd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَيَسْتَخْلِفَنَّهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Those that believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and do good deeds, you shall inherit your ard. Whether it's your ard where you live, it's yours, it's justice, you shall inherit it. Justice will prevail. كما استخلف الذين من قبلهم وليمكنن لهم دينهم. They shall have their sovereignty. Those that are fighting for their rights, they shall be granted their rights. They're fighting for good cause, for their rights, for justice, they shall be granted. Done deal. Yes, the price is high, but definitely with no doubt they will be granted their rights because it is their rights. Unless you doubt that it's their rights, then it's a different story. وَلَيُمَكِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ دِينَهُمُ الَّذِي ارْتَضَى لَهُمْ وَلَا يُبَدِّلَنَّهُم مِّن بَعْدِ خَوْفِهِمْ أَمْنًا. Their fear will go away, and they will feel safety and security. يَعْبُدُونَنِي لَا يُشْرِكُونَ بِي شَيْئًا وَمَنْ كَفَرَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Allah promised that if there's a group of people fighting for their rights, they shall attain their rights. Even if it looks impossible, even if you're fighting a huge, powerful enemy that appears to be in control of the entire universe to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّمَا مَثَلُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا كَمَاءٍ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ فاختلط به نبات الأرض مما يأكل الناس والأنعام حتى إذا أخذت الأرض زخرفها وزينت. The process of building earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, water coming down from the skies, earth is developing, crops, development, money, economy. Listen to this. If you see earth developing to a point where you're amazed with the power and development and the beauty of the technology and development, listen to the example. Till earth becomes so beautified and impressive with technology and development, those that worked on the development would think that they own earth. وَظَنَّ أَهْلُهَا أَنَّهُمْ قَادِرُونَ عَلَيْهَا. If those that caused the development, if they think and act and appear as if they own earth, which what we see around us. They're acting as if they are the owners of everything, and they're so powerful. What happens at this point? أَتَاهَا أَمْرُنَا لَيْلًا أَوْ نَهَارًا. They shall taste their power against them. They will pay the price because with their sense of ownership, they're causing injustice, they're shedding blood, they're stealing other people's properties. They will pay for it. فَجَعَلْنَاهَا حَصِيدًا كَأَن لَّمْ تَغْنَ بِالْأَمْسِ وَكَذَلِكَ نُفَصِّلُ الْآيَاتِ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy this civilization because they set themselves up to destruction. They developed a great civilization. They were supposed to be spreading justice and rights for all. All of a sudden, they act as they own everybody and own everything, and they want to oppress the weak. Well, guess what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said? At this point that we feel right now, Allah will take care of them. The entire civilization will go down the drain because they committed injustice and they became oppressors. And we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كتب الله لأغلبن أنا ورسلي إن الله قوي عزيز. It's written, it's a must, it's an absolute belief for you mu'min to know, Allah ghalib. The victory is for Allah. The victory is for justice. Allah, the just, will make justice prevail. Don't have any doubt in your heart because Allah qawiyyun aziz. Allahu al-qawi. If you think others are powerful, Allahu al-qawiyyun aziz. And we end with the promise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Holy Quran. فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ الْآخِرَةِ. The wa'd, the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of this test, لِيَسُوءُ وُجُوهَكُمْ. Those that oppressed will be disgraced. Their reputations will be tarnished. They claim to be this and that. They claim to be the moral army. They claim to be all of this. It's all going down the drain. And we see how it's happening and unfolding before our eyes. لِيَسُوءُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَلِيَدْخُلُوا الْمَسْجِدَ كَمَا دَخَلُوهُ أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ. And the owners of the masjid, they shall enter their masjid. A promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلْيُتَبِّرُوا مَا عَلَوْا تَتْبِيرًا. So my dear brothers and sisters, I urge you to work on your iman. Watch your tongue. Don't engage in any discussions that will shake your belief. Stay with the right people. Do good deed. Have absolute certainty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support His ibad that are fighting for justice, and it will prevail. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the iman, the absolute iman, that wa'dullahi haqq, that the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will absolutely become true, and very soon, we have to maintain absolute positivity and absolute trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in such difficult times. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enlighten our hearts and our minds and guide us to the right deeds. إنه على كل شيء قدير. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower us with His mercy. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us and protect our deen and protect our children. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our brothers and sisters that are suffering all these atrocities in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Sudan, in wherever they are. Our brothers and sisters that are paying the big price for this transformation. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless them and protect them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us see the right path and help us follow it. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم عافنا في ديننا. اللهم عافنا في دنيانا. اللهم استر عوراتنا وآمن روعاتنا. واحفظنا يا ربنا من خلفنا ومن فوقنا وعن يميننا وعن شمائلنا ومن تحتنا. ونعوذ بعظمتك أن نختار من تحتنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وأنت يا أخي أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله